Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to yet again another fantastic indie creator interview. It's your Cape Crusader Cody, and we're keeping it geekly with three of our returning guests. We have Jason Michalski, I just butchered that, John Kissee, and Dan Membiela.
Yes, nailed it.
Yeah, hey, you got 2 out of 3. I was, you know, that's so funny. I was so confident backstage with Jason. I was hitting it every time, and I was messing up Dan. Did I?
You got it.
I psyched myself out. Here we go.
Nailed it.
It was perfect.
Hey,
it was perfect.
awesome. This has been the interview for the
Let's
last
wrap it up. Let's wrap it
3
up.
months. I've been sitting here late at
It's not going to
night,
get any better.
2 a.m. I'm like, dude, how am I gonna say these names right? And I'm like, right before the interview, I'm like looking up previous interviews, and I'm like, I got a little notepad, and I wish I could take my camera and show you guys. I was like, okay, Mish, and I wrote the word Mish, and then I'm hyphen. I'm like, ow, and I wrote the word ow, and I'm like, and I'm looking, I have it hyphened. I'm like, I'm gonna get it this time. But welcome, Jason, Dan, and John, all returning previous guests. We're joined here to talk about Under God. But first and foremost, you guys all have books yourselves. You're all creators too. So let's go around and give a proper introduction. We'll begin with Jason because he's right to my next. Then we'll go with Dan and then John.
Sure. Thanks, Cody. My name's Jason Michalski, and I'm the writer and co-creator of Northern Blood, published by Blood Moon Comics, and is currently in stores now.
And then we're going to be dropping this link right here. So what is Northern Blood about? Give us a little elevator pitch for that.
Oh, so Northern Blood is about Nazis have ransacked an ancient Viking tomb, and the ancient Viking warriors have risen from the dead to reclaim their treasure. So as that's happening, there's an American GI caught in the middle of the slaughtering of Nazis by these ancient Viking warriors.
I love that. And right there,
So
go ahead.
So if you like Vikings slaughtering Nazis, this is the book for you.
And what's the art like, Jason? What's the art like?
So the art is
it's gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
It's gorgeous. It's a black and white grayscale art style. Antonio Rojo is, I would say, within the style of John Buscema and Alan Davis and John Byrne. I think
I love that podcast where we had him on and Dan was actually doing the interpretations for us. That was one of my funnest interviews ever. For everyone watching, right there is the link to Blood Moon Comics right there to pick up a copy of Northern Blood. Be sure to check that out. And once again, guys, for all these links we're going to be sharing, if you can't buy them, putting them wherever you can works just as well. Word of mouth is 100% free, and just getting that hype out there helps just as much. So Dan, what about you? Give us a little bit about who you are and what we're here to talk about today.
Hi, I'm Dan Membiela, the writer-artist of Under God, which is now in previews, and it is a Band of Bards book that will be coming out in June, but only if you go to your comic shop and ask them to order it for you and put it on your pull list for June. It's a one-shot. The elevator pitch is a young woman's mission of mercy turns deadly as she learns her role in the oppression of those she meant to aid. And, you know, it's essentially an extrapolation of not even far right, of mainstream right legislators right now, current day, talking about things like a blue-red divorce and building big, beautiful walls. And that's exactly the world that Under God opens with, a world where the United States is split by big, beautiful Christian nationalist walls. So we get to see what that's like.
And for everyone watching, we're actually going to be diving into that a little bit deeper as well. No spoilers, but we've all had the chance to read it. We all actually have our copy of Under God right here too. So very excited to dive into that as well. So John, what about you? Last but certainly not least, we have Dr. Rigby as well. An awesome book.
Thanks. Yeah, my name's John Kissee, and I like dramatic camera angles. As you can see, this is just an accident because my desktop wasn't working, but it worked out okay, I guess. It's a little weird, but we're making it work. But yes.
I would say you have the best lighting out of all of us right now. Well, natural lighting is hitting good.
And the sharpest picture for some reason. Also.
Glad it worked out. So I'm the creator, the writer and artist of a comic called Dr. Rigby, which came out in October 22 from Source Point Press. Here's the comic.
Nice. In
my link tree, which I think Cody will be able to put up.
Yep, right here.
Within there's a link to order and a couple of reviews on my website and stuff like that. So Dr. Rigby is kind of a retro horror comic. It's almost like James Bond meets H.P. Lovecraft with some other stuff mixed in there. Mm-hmm. So if you like horror and adventure and retro 60s kind of Hitchcock Twilight Zone vibe, check out Dr. Rigby.
And I really love the usage of your color palettes in that. It's just like so like, I don't know how to put it. It's just mind blowing.
Cool, thank you. A lot of it was kind of happy accidents. Like I tried a few things and then I was like, oh, that looks good. I meant to do that. But
it's a super fun, cool story and just gorgeous to look at. Like it's really a great ride. It's see what I did there? It's a great ride. There's a ride inside. No spoilers.
Jason, Dan, and John, you guys have all been on the show before. What's been up since you last been on? Give me the deets. You know, what's been going on since you guys, you know, last been on the show? Anything new? Anything you've worked on, or any big news you want to share?
Same order.
Yeah, we can just follow that same order. Yeah, that's fine.
Sure. So, so let's see. This month, the beginning of this month, Antonio and I were in Valencia at the Valencia Comic-Con for the release of the Spanish edition of Northern Blood. So we did a signing there, which was incredible. And that was a lot of fun. And then last weekend, Chuck Saterly and I shared a table in Artist Alley at C2E2, where we were, signing copies of Northern Blood, and then Chuck was there signing copies of of Bitter Souls Omnibus that he did with Norm Brayfogle, which is an incredible piece of art in itself that I recommend everybody check out if they can. So the conventions were awesome this month and last month. Chuck and I have decided we are launching a joint Zestworld page. So we will, if you're not familiar with Zestworld is an online comic book platform where you can, like a subscriber-based service where you can sign up, follow your favorite creators, and then, through that service, the comic book creators offer exclusive comics, behind the scenes work on their existing projects, all that good stuff. So Chuck and I are going to be launching that hopefully this month, and we're really excited about that because we have some exclusive comics that are going to be available. And one of them is my latest creation or co-creation called Skullmasher, which is about a boxer who gets revenge on his crooked boxing promoter. So that'll be a 96-page comic that will be exclusively available to anyone who subscribes to our page at Zestworld. So I'm really excited about that. And then I have an upcoming book with Band of Bards called Christopher Kubrick, Nebraska and Matilda Save the World from Fucking Nazis.
I love it so much.
This is a
I want to see that abbreviation.
Yeah. It's a post-apocalyptic alternate history about what if the Nazis won World War II. So the story starts in what 1975 would look like if the Nazis had controlled the world for the last 30 years. It's essentially the Doom Patrol meets Man in the High Castle, and that'll be coming soon from Band of Bards, hopefully towards the fall of this year.
That's so awesome. We're going to have to get you back on to break that down. And for that Zestworld link, we're going to be updating the description when they get that link. So guys, if you're watching this in the future, be sure to check the description and check out that Zestworld link. Dan, what about you, man? What's been up since you last been on? I see a lack of cake. Awesome. Lack of cake, so already off to a disappointing start.
I really thought I was pushing it maybe a little too far with the cake. So I thought, let's reel it in. Don't do the same shtick over and over again. Hey, Cody, you transitioned into the beginning of the show so well and so hyped up that I totally forgot to thank you for keeping it geekly and for making the space and for supporting indie creators and making space for us on it. So I really appreciate that. And you know what else I really appreciate, Cody? I really appreciate that you have a fund drive right now for the Trevor Project, which is an organization that focuses on suicide prevention for LGBTQ youth. And that viewers right now, and it goes through all the month of April, viewers right now, is that link going up?
Yep, I'm just posting it right now. So guys, if you donate live during the stream, I will eat one of these, and these are horrifically disgusting. So any size donation will get me to eat a belly jelly bean. I had a instance where I was eating, it was like liver and onions. So it's either cappuccino or liver and onions, and I kept getting the liver and onions, and it made me want to just not keep it in very long. But guys, any donation gets me to eat that jelly belly bean. $10 donation gets you a Steam key, and then $15 gets you an awesome comic bundle donated by the indie comic community. I was so grateful for that. People are just pouring in with their issue 1s, just throwing it in so we can make a difference. We hit $300. went live April 1st. I wanted to go live. I think it was like April 3rd because I was on a Wednesday. That's when I stream. And we hit our goal within like 2 or 3 days. So I had to push it to 600 because I'm like, dude, I want to run this all month. Let's go. Like, so after Easter, I'm going to have a funky hair color. My mom is coming up. So I was like, I'm going to save the hair dye until after Easter so we can get our pictures together. We're going to be eating a 1-chip challenge because we hit $300. So we're going to be suffering through that. A lot of fun, but for a great cause. So Dan, thank you for giving me that opportunity to shout that out.
Keep that link up.
Yes,
That's such a great cause, and thank you very much for taking that up and doing that. That's awesome. So since last time, Band of Bards has picked up Under God.
Let's go,
so
man.
I'm super psyched. It's great. It's been excellent working with them. They really are very focused on just having the creator-owned book be the creator-owned book. I don't know if you viewers may remember that one of my stretch goals in the Zoop campaign was bonus material, like concept drawings and things like that, and explaining parts of the world. And I didn't hit that stretch goal, but everyone gets that stretch goal now with the Band of Bards edition, because the book is bumped up to 60 pages with bonus behind the scene content and concept drawings. So some neat stuff there, I think.
Cool.
So I hope everyone enjoys that. And yeah, Under God is in April previews right now. It'll be in stores in June, but only if you ask your comic shop right now in April to go ahead and put that on your pull list. You can also go to the Band of Bards shop, which is bandofbards.com/bard-shop. And order the book there. But you want to get it on New Comic Day.
You want to get it on New Comic Day.
You want to get it. Go to your shop.
Dan, real quick, what's the importance of doing that? Like, what does that do for the comic shop?
That's an excellent question, Cody. Comic shops can only order so many books, and you can't expect them to just have whatever book you might want to see on New Comic Book Day without ordering it. You know, it's a finite resource to be able to order all those books. So if you order the book, the comic shop knows that that's a sale in hand, and you're guaranteed of having the book there. And it's with comics, it's so incredibly important, because that's really the sale from the distributor, is once it goes to the comic book shop. So you really need to ask your comic shop to order the books that you want. If you wait, maybe you'll luck out, but you can't expect your comic shop to just order everything that's in previews and you just walk in and pick up the things that you want. You need to let them know that you want it.
We have Michael Katz actually donated Riot Herb issue 1 to that comic bundle. I'm donating again to watch Cody eat a jelly bean.
Yes.
Oh no, we'll do it live. We just got a donation, so let's do it right now. John,
what's flavor jelly bean?
I don't know. We spin the wheel.
Some are gross, I think. Is that what it is?
Yeah. I got the chopped liver again. So cappuccino or liver and onion. So that's the thing. It's either going to be good or bad. So
how do we know that's really chopped liver, Cody? I mean, that could be,
I always smell first. It smells like trash. I mean, all right, you guys ready? This is it.
Let's see. Savor it.
It's definitely the chopped up.
Oh,
this stuff is not good. That's the beauty of it. Like, dude. It's like, I don't know how. The worst part is like the initial shock is just horrific, but then it gets stuck in your teeth when you eat a jelly bean. The bits of it, so you have the aftertaste for the next.
Oh my gosh.
10-15 minutes, dude. But it's for a good cause, so it's all good.
Thank you for your service.
I can't swallow it though, so I just have a bunch of saliva-filled liver and onion, just like.
Cody, people are into some weird stuff. I think you could have a successful OnlyFans if you just ate jelly beans on
Only
camera.
beans,
gross jelly beans. Yeah.
Yes.
There's a fetish for everything. So.
I think next time we do this, we're saving that for the end of the interview, because I have to go through the rest of the interview, like with my eyes watered.
Live every time, live.
Yeah,
all right.
Make those donations.
You can be the bridge between the indie comics community and OnlyFans. Like you can help us make that transition.
Only comics.
Disgusting bridge.
Only panels. So John, what about you? Since you last been on, what's been up, man? I want to say it's been the longest since we've talked. Because I had Jason and Dan on not too long ago.
Well, I actually do eat jelly beans on OnlyFans. No, I'm just kidding. No,
I sell feet.
yeah. And
That's his day job.
yeah. Yeah, since I was on with you, Cody, and by the way, congratulations. When I was on with you, I think you were like 50 people away from your 200th interview, or for your, and now you're blowing past 300, right?
Yeah, this is 341. Let's go. 9 away from 350.
Man. Yeah, and so big congrats to you, and thanks for, your great segment with me. That was a lot of fun, and thanks for having me back. So, since then, I think I was plugging Dr. Rigby in previews, and it's come out, and I'm working on another Dr. Rigby one shot, a compilation of shorter stories, probably about 4 stories. Yeah, thanks. And I'm about halfway through it.
Oh, let's go.
But the time and actual when and where, I'm not certain yet, but it's definitely it's in the works, and I'm very excited about it. I actually, through the miracle of technology, I can show you this teaser logo, Dr. Rigby Tales from the Deep. So as you can see, there's a little bit
it's like watching Hall H footage on
yeah, right.
Let me we need to hold the phone up like this and be like, I'm so scared right now. No, that is awesome. So how's this one shot going to work? Is this going to be before the events that we read in the story, or is it going to be after, in between?
It's sort of almost like Indiana Jones-ish. It's all different time periods. It's all kind of in the mid 60s to late 60s. So they're all just sort of separate adventures. But I can tell you there's a story where he battles vampires. There's one where he learns the meaning of all existence. And there's one where he goes to Miami Beach and meets a mermaid from hell. And there's even a Christmas story where, as you could imagine, Santa Claus in Rigby's world is completely, utterly horrifying. So,
did you guys ever see that, what was it, Violent Night? Where it's like the Violent Santa Claus movie?
I heard it was good, actually.
My girlfriend absolutely hated it, but I loved it. It was just like nonsense, gore and blood and just brutality. It was a total like dude flick. Yeah. So Dan, we're here to talk about Under God. This was an awesome read. We all have our issues ready. You guys ready for our little photo op?
Under God.
Yeah.
Hey, but how many of you got this on the back?
Oh.
Wow.
I didn't. Dan, we gotta talk. Yeah,
That was a bonus.
Yeah, Dad's like, you son of a gun. You weren't supposed to show that.
No.
I think I got something on a backer board, didn't I, Dan? Damn it. Should have brought it.
Yeah, I got
it. You got multiple copies.
I got some kind of
you got
platinum
a
level
Daredevil.
shit, so yeah.
I got a Black Cat as well, I think, right?
Yeah.
Gorgeous. I'm waiting for a frame to hang that up. So Dan, what's Under God about? Give us a little bit. I know we were talking earlier, but let's start digging in deep into it. Without spoiling what you don't want to get spoiled.
Yeah, so Under God is a story about the weaponization of religion. Under God is a story about what happens when your values and your beliefs are in conflict. Under God is a story about, like I mentioned, extrapolating out what right-wing legislators are talking about right now. Not like a Twilight Zone episodes. Some like real legislators right now are talking about this. So this is now, it opens in a world where these things have happened. And no spoiler, but there's actually in the story tells you it can pinpoint the exact breaking point from our reality to that reality. That's actually detailed right in the story. So there's been that red-blue Democrat-Republican state divide. The interior of the country is all a Christian nationalist theocracy. They've built big, beautiful walls on these new borders to keep out what used to be the exterior parts of the U.S. And like they are a Christian theocracy, and like it's very important to Christianity to give charity, And we've already seen in our real history how faith-based organizations have been used to not have to burden the government with supplying support to actual citizens. If you can just um, give tax cuts and give some benefits to some cover to faith-based organizations instead. So charity is very important. So these Christian nationalists go and they give charity to the unbelievers on the other side of the wall, and it's a very big deal. It's a huge honor to be part of that, and these high achieving graduates are part of that ceremony. And things quickly go wrong as soon as they start. And there, the main character, Samantha, is now stuck on the wrong side of the wall, as she's been taught, and she has to figure out what these people's problems are, and why she's there, and what she's going to do about it. So, I wanted to have a situation where this golden child of a bad system has been imbued with good values but wrong beliefs, and now when she's faced with that contradiction, which is she going to pick to guide her decisions, her beliefs or her values?
So right here is a link to the Preview Worlds page to check this out. Dan, holy crap, this is one of the rawest stories out right now, I believe, right? Like, I mean, there's a lot out there, but this hits so many. I mean, this is the closest to home, I would say. Out of a lot that I've read, this is one of the closest to home. And I mean, writing from experience, this has to come easy, because this is like I said, this is happening right now. But like, what type of mindset do you have to put yourself in when creating this type of story? I mean, there's so many different layers to this, and I really love, the product of Samantha being the product of her environment, but still wanting to be a good person within that. It's such a hard thing to be in, right? It's like a hard mentality to be in. So like, man, like, how'd you put yourself in this mindset to create this?
Well, I tweeted many times during the creation of Under God that I wish the real world can hold it together long enough so that my fictional story can remain a fictional story. Just just a few more months, hold it together, everyone, because
Dan, when we've talked, and we've like, the world is getting more like Under God by the week. We chuckled about stuff, and now it's like, oh, well, that happened. That now, I mean, it's kind of chilling, but yeah.
Yeah, it really is. And sadly there were too many I guess I was naive in many respects, because unfortunately when I would look up things like, okay, what would this look like? So this structure, and I'd be like, oh, there's real world examples for all these things. Like, that really sucks. Gosh,
border walls.
Thanks,
Yeah.
I hate it. I really
So,
hate all of this. Like,
can we, and if it's spoiler, let's go ahead and we can move away from it. But what's the representation of making the agents wear masks and hide their identity? Like, what was the symbolism in that for you?
Yeah, so the symbolism is the importance of charity work, and there's a verse in the Bible that says, when you give charity to the poor, your left hand should not know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving is done in secret, and your Father who knows what is done in secret will reward you. So in other words, you're not supposed to make a big deal about charity work. You're supposed to just do charity work. But in the real world, it's very common to make a big deal about charity work. So they wear these question mark masks because they on the interior side, their safe side of the wall, they put the masks on and they become alms agents. So now going outward, no one knows who they are. They're completely anonymous, and they can give without their left hand knowing what the right hand is doing.
I love that.
And the masks are locked on. There's a page that shows that the masks get like crimped on, but again, something goes wrong on the other side of the wall, and now Samantha is stuck with her mask on, surrounded by the people she wanted to help and who she's been taught her whole life were a danger to her. So.
And I love that I won't dive too deep into it, but the internal conflict we see within Samantha was just so well executed,
Thank you.
Like, led to believe her side was the right side. Of course, I think that's all of us in human nature. Whatever side we're raised to believe this is the right side of things. So I loved how we seen that within her, and then when she's stuck on the other side of the wall, she gets to see it firsthand, like things might not be the way she was led to believe. And I just love the way you went into that. Good Agent also is another series. Is this like, does this spring from Under God?
Well, I mean, it's there is the most, so not to give anything away, they're not directly related, but Good Agent was my comic that I did. There's 7 issues out right now that before Under God, and that really dealt with everything in Good Agent is about incremental good, which is also a big part of Under God. So in other words, no amount of good, even in the face of a mountain of bad, is inconsequential. You still have to do it. It is still right and proper to do it. You're still making a difference. You're still improving things by doing that good. So in, so yeah, there's more correlation between the two than that. The message is the same in both of them, but they're not directly related.
Because that's where we first started chatting, right? That was our first interview. I think was for issue 7 of Good Agent, I think.
No, it was for the Zoop for Under God, but
we talked about it. Yes.
Where he's
that's
jumping
awesome.
on the truck, the armored truck, and all that.
So, John, Jason, do you guys have any questions at all about what we've talked about? I don't want to hog up the mic too much because I know this is kind of like you guys are in this too. So, any questions you have for Dan about it?
Want to go, Jason?
Sure. So my questions were, I didn't know Dan when I read Under God. So I met Dan through the Zoop campaign, and after I got the book, and then we started chatting on Twitter. So I didn't really know Dan. So Dan's still kind of a mystery to me, right? So, but
John's known me 40 years, and I'm still
he's still a mystery.
My point is that when I read there's a lot of layers to Under God, which I really appreciate. What first attracted me to the book was the artwork. Because those were the first thing I saw was the images, and I really love Dan's art style. And I've said this to him before. Dan reminds me of a Steve Ditko, right? But I think with less or almost no Ayn Rand. Like I think we kind of joked about that. So like, but for me, when I see Dan's work, I think of Steve Ditko, and so that's what attracted me to the book. And it was an absolute pleasure to discover after meeting Dan, and for the first time actually speaking to Dan in person was on your show. That was the first time we actually spoke.
Really?
Yeah, believe it or not. And it was just wonderful to find out that Dan is this kind, amazing person. So which added
this whole time.
I know maybe he fooled me, but that's what really added to the second time I read Under God. After getting to know Dan and reading it again, I really appreciated it more. But so long story, let me just cut it short. So Dan, can you just kind of tell me who your artistic influences are? Like when you approached Under God,
Ooh, good question.
Have an influence in mind, or just let me know like the process you went in with?
Yeah, I mean, so many excellent artists that I'm ashamed to say that I'm trying to pick at anything that they do because they're just so much so great. But Chris Samney is a huge influence. Tanchi Zanjic is a huge influence. Dave Mazzucchelli is an enormous powerhouse influence. So just Al Williamson is so I was just looking at all these, essentially, they could do so much with so little, and especially in black and white, their things read so, like, color adds so much to a story. But for my taste, a really well done black and white piece is just, it's on another level. It's just a whole other thing. I think when you look at a lot of original art, it's all, so many nice things, but you can kind of see like this is meant for color. The areas are being left open because they're all going to be filled with color. But then there's other artists that even when they color, Lee Weeks is like this. There are other artists that their black and white work would be like, you could color this, but you also could just go straight to the printer. It's ready to go. Like the sense of balance in the black and white, the conveying so much with so few strokes, an economy of line. So that's really what I gravitate towards. I'm feel I'm getting better. Under God represents the best of what I've done so far. I think my new story that I'm working on now, Vengeance Must Die, is getting even a little bit better.
Ooh, was that a new title drop?
That's a new title drop.
New title drop. Hey, so John, let me sneak in real quick. I got something to add on that. So Dan, when you are getting ready to create a panel and it's black and white, how do you approach that panel knowing that it's going to be black and white? Do you do anything differently? Are you able to kind of maybe hide some stuff in negative spaces where you wouldn't be able to do that with color?
I mean, essentially, you're looking at you're trying to measure out the panel and compose the panel, knowing that this is what the viewer is going to get. Aside from, I added screen tone to several parts. There isn't going to be, like for instance, there are characters in Under God who are African Americans or people of color, and I think that I convey that in the art, but there isn't any color. Like there's different texture in some of the clothing. There's guards with armor, and I think it's all conveyed in the texture rather than the art. So you just have to, you're just, I don't know how much. I mean, I guess the only difference is what you're ending up with is this conveying everything? Is this balanced? Is this the final piece? Because there isn't going to be, no one's gonna. Sometimes you see like some colorists doing a lot of lifting and adding in additional, sculpting, and which looks amazing. But like if you look at just the line art, it's very different between those two. So with black and white, it's just what you just have to, when you're done, that's it. That's what people are going to see. So
I got you. All right, John, did you have anything loaded up for Dan?
Well, yeah, just first of all, Jason, that was so sweet what you said about Dan, and I agree. I've known him for decades, and all jokes aside, he is a bit of a mystery wrapped in an enigma, but it's a good enigma, like a good candy bar. Like it's got a lot of nougat in it.
I'm an idiot wrapped in a moron.
But yeah, like I just want to echo the overall things about the comic, that I think that's such a great sentiment about incremental good, which you've mentioned before, on this show. And I think it's an important thing now, especially right now, with where in a real way, you can feel like the world is just being swallowed up by evil nonsense. And it's hard to remember, you got to stay, every little bit of good helps. And I think that theme comes through in the book. And yeah, and as far as the art, like just echoing what you guys said, I think, Dan, in that review you got, the reviewer made the point that the art is simple, but that allows the texture of the story and the character to sort of, like Samantha's character, to emerge and be more real, because you're really not distracted by a lot of details. It's almost just like you're getting the emotion and the texture of the story, which I think works really well. But I love the book. I'm very proud of you. And look, for the miracle of technology, I have another Hall H treat. Look at these two.
I wanted to bring up this picture so bad, because when I seen this, I was like, dude, Dan looks like George Costanza.
See, this is if we zoom in Blade Runner style, we can see Dan's old comics. This is we're at the same convention, circa 1997, I think.
Wow.
This is Heroes Con.
How old were you guys? How old were you guys?
27.
Yeah.
That's
John still had long sleeves back then. He's grown out of them.
yeah. I have a little puka shell necklace.
Look at that luscious hair on Dan, though. My God.
Yeah, he had fun fact.
I will say now, have you seen George Costanza with a beard? He looks manly. Dude, grow that beard out once, Dan.
You rock a good beard, but... But yeah, we
that was fun.
But anyway,
But
yeah,
that was when
Jason-
we were by the men's room. I think we were at Artist Alley by the men's room.
Oh my goodness!
And
You
then-
at least got
yeah,
in there, right?
Yeah.
prime
and that
spot.
was-
Yeah, everyone's got to walk by.
It may have been that one because we went to a couple Heroes Con, but there was one where they were selling booze at the con, and people got too rowdy, so they stopped selling
Yeah,
beer.
that was a
But they
drag.
kept selling wine coolers. Like, what a quintessential '90s thing! Like, there's no more beer, but you can still get a wine cooler.
Zima. Yeah.
We actually we have our good friend You Promised Me Comics, Spark Comics over on Twitter saying that might have been my review. Hey,
Yes.
any love we can get for Dan, that's always appreciated. Sparks, thank you for joining us. Anyone watching, be sure to give You Promised Me Comics a sub if you're watching. Another awesome podcasting platform.
Sparks had a great line in that review that I want to shout out, that I love, where they say that Under God gives a view of what oppressive kindness can look like. And I thought, oh, this person
That is
really
good.
read Under God. That's really great.
You understood the
The chilling
assignment.
term.
You
Oppressive
understood the
kindness.
assignment. So I really, speaking of that, I love how they were like almost forcing religion to get food, and people, they didn't care. They were hungry. I loved how that was showcased, and that is something that happens. We see that happening with a lot of missionary work where, they go with the intention and the image of like spreading the word of God and giving food. But a lot of cases, it's not that, right? What drove you to kind of highlight that in this?
Oh, I mean, I guess I was just thinking about there's so many Christians in leadership in the government who are against having the corporal acts of mercy be part of the support that the government gives to its people. Like if you want mercy, go to this nonprofit. If you want, why wouldn't you, if you believe that, why wouldn't you be working where you have power to then provide those acts of mercy to the people of your country? Like, instead, it's all about, they're watching their donors' interests, they're watching their stock portfolio, they don't really care about those.
A lot
values.
of times when people ask for donations like that, ask them how much of that actually goes to the charity. You'd be surprised. You would be
I
very,
use
very
Charity
surprised.
Navigator all the time. Charity
Yes.
Navigator is great, which then tells you how much goes towards administrative costs, because they're collecting money for a great cause, but then they're paying themselves really, really well.
Yeah, they're
doing it.
taking like 70, that penny, they're taking 70% of that penny. And it's like, okay, well, why are you making money off this? That's not how charity works. So Dan, Under God, that's such a powerful title. Like, what inspired that? How did that end up popping in your head?
Well, again, it's the connection to the U.S. government, and one nation under God, and then also I think under plays a, while the sentiment is that we are, being overseen or created by God, it also under plays a power structure. If you're under God, you're on one part of the power dynamic of that phrase.
And I love how this is like all like, John of course has known Dan for years, but me and Jason, we've only like met Dan a handful of times through podcasting, and I've never got a chance to really break down religion with you. And I just, I've always kind of thought the same thing too, like religion and war go hand in hand. Like it always does. They always use the promise of religion, the promise of like heavenly security over hell and damnation to get what they want, and it goes with charity too. It's just it's such a dark thing where the beauty and the values of the good side of religion is manipulated to get what people want.
And I want to say that when I was shopping around Under God to publishers, one publisher sent me a many publishers sent me a rejection letter. I'm very grateful for Band of Brothers. But one publisher sent me a rejection letter, and John, I reached out to you and our other buddy Jesus. I have a friend in Jesus. That they said it's too simple to just say that if you have religion, you're bad, and if you're an unbeliever, you're good. And then I asked the guys like, did this person read Under God? And I was like, am I crazy? Am I missing something? Is this what Under God says? And they were like, no, that's not what Under God says.
I don't think they read it.
Yeah. I mean, they opened up a page and seen Unbeliever, and they're like, yep.
Yeah. That's enough for me.
I thought one of the most powerful parts of the book that was pretty moving was, well, it's not a spoiler to say one character where you think, Samantha has this vision of them all as unbelievers, and there's one character's praying, one of the unbelievers, the outsiders is praying. She's like, she's Christian, so it drives the point home. It's not, the book is not an attack on religion. It's pointing out, like you said, Cody, when religion is weaponized and used to do harm. That's
it's an attack on. Really... It's an attack on that for sure. It's not an attack on religion. It's an attack on the weaponization of religion.
So, Jason, I know you said you had a couple pages bookmarked. Did you have any of those pages you wanted to talk about in particular?
Yes. So I wanted to bring because I like talking about the process and the craft, right? When it comes to making comics, so I thought this would be a great opportunity to talk to Dan about a couple of things. So one of my favorite panels is on page, and hopefully this isn't spoiling anything, is page 10, the judo throw.
Follow on.
Right? Yes, that's totally a judo throw.
I love this panel because
awesome.
I think why I love it so much is because the toss really goes off panel, right? We don't see the body hitting the ground, and we see it kind of in mid form, right? We don't see usually like in the comics we'll see like maybe the result of the body hitting the ground, but here we don't see that, and we see it going off panel. Was there any particular reason why you chose to do that with that panel?
I wanted to establish that Samantha was very capable and very capable. Why is John's
like
image...
John's like, in case we didn't spoil this enough, let's zoom in.
Why is John's image so clear on
it's his phone? So I think what happens is StreamYard does something with the camera signal. I usually, if you look at my Twitch streaming, it's super. Whoa, John!
I mean, not that way. Sorry.
Are you really into OnlyFans? Like, what's going on? Give me the
filter,
deets. He's like on his orange couch with his Vaseline on his feet.
Right. The orange couch is a must.
Well, I wanted to establish that Samantha was very, very capable. So there's a reversal. She does something just before that. And then there's a reversal where then now you're caught, and I wanted it to be like, no, you can't just take Samantha like that. Like, Samantha is a very high achieving, excellent in physical activity and in thinking.
Yeah.
Which is why she's part of that. That's also mentioned at the very beginning. Not any schmo gets to go to Almsgiving Day. You have to be the top of the top of graduates to go to that.
One of my favorite parts about the mask was the loss of identity for Samantha. Like, the whole entire time you were reading it, and you could put yourself in the shoes of Samantha and be like, I would do this too. I would make the same exact choice that she's making. And I really loved how that was able to kind of bond the reader to the identity of Samantha. You really put the reader into the feelings and the mindset of that character, and I thought that was really executed. I also really liked in the beginning too how just enjoying things is nonsense. Like listening to music. Like, I'm going to tell your mom, you shouldn't be doing that. So kind of taking away the pleasures and the fun from life within this, I thought was a really awesome example as well.
Yeah, when you're right up against when you're in the interior part and you're right up against the wall, you can hear the radio from the unbeliever side. So that's a naughty thing that the good kids do is listen to that radio.
And I just realized some of the other pages that I marked are huge spoilers for the story. I'm not going to go into it.
I appreciate it.
But one of my other favorite pages is, I'll just call it the kick page.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you.
So one more question. So can you just, the chapter break pages, can you, for people that may not recognize the symbolism, can you kind of explain what the thought was behind those?
Yeah, so water is a resource that's being controlled and withheld from the people on the exterior side of the wall. That's one of the things that's being controlled and withheld. And it's a 3-chapter story, and there's 3 different chapter header cards. That's one. That's the opening one. Well, water plays a big part in the Bible as well. So and vessels hold a big part in the water as well. So there is a jug that would hold a big amount of water that could also hold a big amount of wine, like at the wedding at Canaan, which it's a festival like is happening at the beginning of the story. There's a well, like the Samaritan took water from the well, and that's when things have gone very sour for for Samantha.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the well, I can't find the page, but
It's right
there's
here.
a cup. There you go.
Cup.
As in, let this cup pass over me, and
Wow.
the Last Supper cup. So
Great question, Jason. Holy crap. I love
Yeah.
the symbolism of water.
And that's what I meant earlier.
those
Like
read
when
right to you, Jason. You're able to get those, right?
Yeah, some of it.
Awesome.
So, but that's what I mean. Like when I first read this, I was first attracted to the art, and I thought it was a great story, right? But then when I read it again, there's a lot of layers to it, and then it really is a book that when you read a few times, you kind of see, like a lot of books, but this is definitely a book, I think, for me anyway. When the more you read it, the more you get out of it.
Yeah.
Because it's that rich, and I think Dan, you did such an excellent job with it.
Thank you.
I was reading it again this morning. Cody and I were talking about it, and again, there's other things I caught again after like the fourth time reading.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Thanks, Jason.
And then now I just learned a few more things from you. So
There's a secondary, like for when spoilers are okay in the future.
Yeah.
There's a secondary main character hero in the story.
Mhm.
So that's hopefully something people will pick up on.
Ooh, I think I got an idea.
That last page,
Awesome.
there's a lot there. Like I have a lot. Well, we'll talk about that another day.
We gotta make a part 2.
Yeah, because there definitely needs to be Under God too.
I would love
in my
to do
opinion.
it.
Yeah.
I'd love to
So, it again, man, just a fantastic book. So.
Oh, thanks so much, Jason.
And
Appreciate
everyone
that very
watching,
much.
make Under God Part 2 happen by pre-ordering this. Buying a ton of this book encourages Dan, gives him enough capital to make it happen. Let's make it happen for him. If you're watching, right here is the link. Pre-order right now. If you can't pre-order, put this on Twitter and Facebook. Word of mouth is 100% free. And sharing this with as many friends as humanly possible is what we're trying to do. So, guys, Jason, Dan, John, what's next for you guys in 2023? I know it's hard for me to keep talking about Under God without wanting to spoil it. So I gotta back away.
Jason.
Can I ask?
To be able to,
Can I ask some John Rigby questions?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Sure.
All right. So I got my John Rigby. I'm sorry. Ask John Dr. Rigby questions. Sorry. I got
John Rigby is his only fans.
John Rigby is his,
Yeah, that's
John Rigby 69.
yeah, on the orange couch with the jelly beans.
So John,
my link tree,
this
so to speak.
Dr. Rigby was wonderful.
Thanks. Thank you.
To me, I know you mentioned some of when you were describing it earlier, H.P. Lovecraft meets James Bond, right? I was thinking, the same thing. James Bond meets 70s Hammer films.
Yeah, that's a big influence too.
Yeah, and when I was looking at the Easter eggs page, which I thought was really awesome to include, so in the back of the book you get like what the Easter eggs are from, which I thought was awesome. So I guess my one of the questions I had was, the book is broken down into 3 chapters. Was this a collection of like a series? Was this released serially somewhere else, or was this just meant to be chapter one shot?
Yeah, actually, Dan and I and our other friend Jesus originally conceived of these stories, including Good Agent. We all just were like circled back around to our love of comics later in life. So we were just like, let's do our own thing without any pressure, almost like creating our own YouTube channel that only we would see. So we really just kind of worked on it sporadically and combined it into a digital format that I think we had it on Comixology when it was whatever it was back then. Yeah. So originally they were shorter stories that I took way longer to complete than Dan and Jesus. So they were always waiting on me because I'm so slow. But yeah, that was the reason that they were the story was broken up that way. But this new comic does just have complete shorter stories. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see.
I gotta up my
Jason,
game.
I wanna do
Jason's been
some-
killing it with the interview questions. It's
Well,
I'm like over here like, dang, dude.
Keeping it Jason.
Like,
Yeah.
Man, I wanted to surprise you with some Northern Blood fan art, but I didn't have time to get it complete in time. But I have an idea for like, well, a pinup, kind of like the Under God. So
Oh, wow.
look for that.
oh
yeah,
wow,
man,
I can't wait to see.
Northern Blood's great, and Antonio's art is awesome, and that's just an awesome book. Among the other things you do, it's a real.
Thank you.
Fun.
We are doing part 2, so that has started. So before I talk about that, so when is the more Dr. Rigby coming? I know you
That
mentioned
I'm
it
not
earlier.
sure of the actual when and where, because the current publisher, I think they're moving away from creator-owned. They're focusing on their own universe, so I'm not sure. It may they may come back to it, so I'm not sure it'll be there, but it'll take me a while to finish it anyway. So yeah, right now I'm just kind of focused on completing it. So like I said, I'm about halfway done, and I had a bunch of stuff going on with my parents' health and like job stuff. So, but I think now this part of the year I'm getting a lot more done and have a slightly better pace. But yeah, thanks. It's going to be similar. There's going to be tons and tons of Easter eggs in it, and I kind of want to do a similar section because that was really fun to do. But
Yeah,
man,
I really loved it. And I'm there day one. So just like I even though I have Under God, I pre-ordered it for Band of Bards because I'm not going to miss out on that. And you have to support your friends, right?
Yeah.
You have to show up. If you can, I know times are hard for everybody these days, but if you can support your friends by buying their comics, even better. And I try to really make it a point to buy all of my friends' comic books when they come out. So I'm there day one for you and Dan.
Awesome. Same,
Thanks, man.
Now into infinity. So
The G in Jason's name has to be Geekly because this dude's just like I almost need to retire at this point. I'm done.
And I just want to add that I've seen some little bits of new Rigby and sploosh. You're gonna love it. It's really good.
Wait,
so
do we have time to do this? Sorry, another
presentation.
Another holiday.
Ooh,
Oh,
Look
there we
at
go.
that.
that looks gorgeous.
Yeah.
This is a
And my face.
damn.
Look at that guy. What a
It's a new
hottie.
super villain.
Hottie with a
And-
body.
Dan, when were you on Friends?
Here,
Oh wait, no, that's Seinfeld. That's Seinfeld, isn't it? I got it mixed up.
here's Dr. Rigby on the beach trying to put on his
Ooh.
beach disguise,
Nice.
but
Six-pack
he thinks he's
abs.
happy. But all
Could
the
never
girls
be
are.
me. Could never be me.
But anyway, yeah.
John, is all your I should have asked you and Dan this earlier. Is it all digital artwork, or do you still use pens to paper, or
My
Is it all-
inking is all digital. I have a very convoluted process. I use a lot of photo reference, but I do draw the pencils, scan them, and then ink them and color them digitally. So I think my inking would be very crummy if I didn't have the graphic design experience. But yeah.
And
Looks so good.
Dan, are you traditional pen and paper? Or?
yeah. Like I've said before, when I hit Control N, it means taping down a new piece of paper. To the thing. Like,
There's
Yeah,
no
no,
Control
I
Z
do- I
for
do it.
Dan.
yeah, I
There's
do
no
add.
undo.
Yeah,
key.
it's crying and
White out.
erasing.
You don't have to
Yeah.
worry
Yeah.
about Control Save though. You could just leave it. That's nice,
Yeah,
right?
it's there. Yeah,
Just don't
Yeah,
spill
I do
coffee
add-
on it.
yeah. I do add screen tone digitally, and of course the lettering.
Your cover was great. The
Oh,
line
thank
art
you very much.
lent itself to that color. It was very Dark Knight Returns to
Yeah.
looking to me. Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
And the little letterbox. Look at me practicing all of the. This is my proof copy. So this
Oh,
is
I'm
me
so jealous. That
practicing
looks
doing
so.
that.
I love it. That looks so cool. I love how
So-
you did the. Is that Moon Knight or who?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Look,
that's
look at me.
awesome.
That was probably practice for yours, Cody.
Dude, and it came out so cool too. I love it so much. Oh God.
glad you like
So
it.
guys, what's next for you guys in 2023? We are about an hour deep. We do have to be wrapping up. You know what? Dan, you gave us a little bit of a spoil, so can't wait to hear more about that. But Jason, for you, what's coming out the rest of this year?
Rest of this year is Christopher Kubrick, Nebraska, and Matilda Save the World from Fucking Nazis from Band of Bards.
Nice.
Skullmasher, which will be on Zest World. And then I'm bringing back a comic that my friends and I never got to finish called Zoe Out of Time.
Oh,
and
awesome.
we're looking to finish the 4th issue. So I think we're going to be taking that to Kickstarter. Zoe Out of Time is a story about a teenage girl from the future who travels back in time to meet her favorite alternative rocker from the 1990s. And I won't spoil any more than that, but it's a time travel story that involves 90s alternative rock and time travel.
Can you give us the rocker's name, or is that spoilers?
No, his name is Trent Darrow.
I love
it's
it.
Kind of like it takes place in 2050 and 1990. So we're leaning very heavily into like Nine Inch Nails, Smashing Pumpkins, that whole era. So, you know, for my generation, that's like the sweet spot for music. You know, it's a book we started almost 10 years ago, and we have not been able to finish it because of life for all of us happened. The artist Daryl Santa Cruz went on to start drawing Batman. He started drawing Tomb Raider.
Wow.
He kind of blew up, and, you know, so we put it on hold. So we're trying to get the band back together. And hopefully that, you know, late 2023, early 2024, you'll start seeing me. I've already started sharing images out on Twitter and stuff, and the book is gorgeous. But yeah, that's what's happening for the last.
Is it going to be a trade of 4 issues or individual 4 issues?
So it's written to be 4 individual issues, but I think the Kickstarter campaign will probably just be a trade paperback. You know, and but we'll see. You know, maybe we'll have an option for both. But
I love the art looks great, and I love that color palette. It's colored so nicely. Like I love it. It's very cool color palette. It's very nice. Cool. Put on your dark sunglasses and cool. Like cool.
Yeah. A lot of soft blue. So the color, when you see it, the color blue. For me, I came up with that idea because of the Cure's "The Head on the Door" record. So if you ever look up that record, that blue color,
we know it well.
Yes,
that's the inspiration for that color. So
awesome.
Yeah, so that's what it's with the book. You know, that's kind of the mood of the book.
What a great concept too. Really looking forward to seeing that.
Yeah, that looks great. Can't wait for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Fun fact, Jason, I ran into Trent Reznor at an Arby's when I lived in New Orleans years ago.
Really?
Oh my God.
He's short. That's the only. He ordered a big
short
cheddar sandwich. That's
like he wanted to get a roast beef, and they said no, and he's like, "I will make you hurt."
Right? Yeah. It was hard to sound dark and menacing when you're ordering a roast beef meal. But
I sold a lifetime ago. I worked in an instrument store in New York City, and I sold Billy Corgan a distortion pedal.
Oh, that's fun.
That was really cool.
And Jason's like, he's like, one day I'm going to write a comic and you're going to be influenced. You're going to influence the rocker in that, Billy. So, Dan, what about you? What's next for you the rest of the year? I mean, are we going to see Under God 2 or no?
It's up to the people. I put it in the people's hands.
Hell of a cliffhanger.
I think it has a nice ending that is wraps up the story and is obviously more. The world keeps going. So if the people like it, tell Band of Bards to to have a second Under God. And I'm also working on Vengeance Must Die, which is a Last Count of Monte Cristo story. And is about the what's at the end of a life, collecting the wages of vengeance. So it's kind of like also an analysis of that vengeance trope character, Punisher or a million of them. Like, so what's at the end of that? What comes from a life of that?
I love that. I always love how your stories have such deep like layers to them. Like it really makes you sit down and think. Seriously.
Ask good questions. Yeah.
Dan really I think Dan puts a lot of thought in his stories. Me, not so much. Like,
How can you say that? How can you say
Jason,
that? I read your stories.
That's an injustice to yourself.
That's not true at all.
we're gonna chop up Nazis, and then that's the.
I mean, you're doing the Lord's work.
That's just as good, right? I see nothing wrong with that. Like, it's just Dan's like story always makes me sit down and like contemplate myself. Like,
yeah.
am I doing life right? Like,
I do want to make the point that
Dan's like the James Joyce of comic books.
Yeah. So I want to point out to your viewers that the book is serious and it's dark at times, but it's fun. You know, it's not just. I mean, I'm with you, Jason. My comics are all escapism and nostalgia and stuff, but Dan really digs a lot deeper.
Your
but
book
it's
is like a visual orgasm, though. I would say, right, for John, like some of his stuff, like it's just like a visual orgasm. I'm just like, dude, this is so like, what is this?
The OnlyFans thing,
He's like he's on his orange couch, like, yeah, they're gonna love this.
You should see what his exclusives are at his subscriber tiers at OnlyFans. It's incredible.
Wild stuff.
If you think it's Lovecraftian horror coming out of that, you got another thing coming.
Way beyond liver and onion jelly beans.
Oh my God, it's still aftertasting too. John, what else are you working on though? We had Dr. Rigby 2? Or the short stories at
pretty
least?
much just that's all I'm working on, and that's a little dicey right now, but it is coming along. It's going to be called Dr. Rigby Tales from the Deep, and it's going to be probably four short stories and some more Easter eggs. Expect more of the same in his world.
Is that a play on what was it, The Boys? Did you ever watch The Boys?
Yeah.
Doesn't the Deep I think has a book? Doesn't he have a Deep something from the Deep?
Right, the character's name is the Deep. I forgot about that. I was just trying to think of a vague maritime.
I was trying to someone told me I should lean into that, where I'm trying to make connections, and I told him this moment would happen where it wasn't the connection they were trying to make, and I'm like,
thanks for pointing that out. I mean, it is a working title, so they're still trying.
He's like, you son of a bitch.
Yeah, I don't know much
Damn
about The Boys.
You have to come up with
a maritime.
Oh. John's out. He's like, I'm gone.
That was my dad calling. Like, what are you doing?
All right, so we usually end the show with me asking you guys for a little bit of advice, but you want to turn the wheel. I think you guys want to ask me something this time around, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess, John, you take the wheel on this one. This was your idea.
This is a more boring question. Have you ever done?
You're watching a video of 40 years of knowing John.
So have you always had? Have you done announcing or voiceover work before? Because you have a great voice for broadcasting. So I'm curious, were you ever like the DJ of your junior high school radio, or did this just come from podcasting?
So I used to be in a death metal band. I used to scream, surprisingly enough,
I want to see a picture.
And I actually do have a picture. I'll send it to you. And I try to do acoustic sad boy music, but I've never had like a broadcasting like, hey, welcome to 92.5 Kiss FM. Like, it's always been Twitch streaming. I used to Twitch stream, and then it was one of those things where Twitch streaming, a lot of content is audio listening. And a lot of this is like psychological stuff. Like, people might not notice, but when you watch my thing, there's animated background, so people can visually be distracted and they don't want to like leave because they're like, oh, this is cool. Like, this is keeping my interest. So, like with Twitch streaming, a lot of that was developing my voice because people would listen to me play the game, and like having a good listening voice, people stayed and listened. And with Twitch, a big part of that is keeping people on the platform to watch you, because that increases your discoverability, and that. So basically, it was just like me, like over the years, trying to make my voice sound better. I had a Blue Yeti and 10-foot ceiling, so I would have an echo. So I would try really hard to make my voice sound good because it would sound like shit anyways. So as soon as I got the good audio, it was just like moving over. It's at a point now where my girlfriend will be like, "You're doing the podcast voice," and I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, babe." Like, so yeah, to answer your question, I never really done anything like that. I have always wanted to, but I grew up with a speech impediment. I went to speech therapy for years. That's why pronunciations are such a big thing for me. Like, that's why I struggle so hard on them, because like there was a time where I was nonverbal for years. I had my own language. My aunt has videos of me like running around. I had big fro, like long hair, and I would be like a beat a boot about it, like just crazy gibberish because I couldn't talk. So it's remarkable that I'm interviewing, you know.
Okay, well, that's a
great story.
Satisfactory answer. That's
Thank you.
A lot of good, interesting info there. And you're rocking a kind of Motorhead stash right now.
This was
you want to get back into the death metal thing?
Yeah, Comic Book Yeti. I was so basically it was a mixture of Comic Book Yeti and then Robert Garcia for Retribution. We were interviewing. I was getting ready for my daddy-daughter dance, and he's like, "Man, you gotta shave up." And I'm like, "Okay." Well, I don't have enough stubble to get the 5 o'clock shadow beard going on, so I was like, "I'm gonna shave it off and have the stash." And I just pretty much like gotta let the stubble grow back because if I shave off the stash, then I look dumb. You know what I mean? I can't rock like a baby face because it doesn't do it for me. I'm starting to get the double chin, so I have to hide it with something.
That's what the beard's good for.
Yeah. So Jason, Dan, what?
So my question was gonna be, I could be wrong here, but I thought I saw you share on Twitter that you might be working on a comic book yourself.
Yeah.
Is that so? Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that's all I know. I saw a picture of like
I haven't started the process yet. I don't know what type of story I want to do. I know I want to get back. So a big thing for me is I used to be a really bad alcoholic, and I would drink, and that would be my catalyst. Like I would drink, play guitar, drink, write, and it was nonstop. I was writing every single day, poetry, poems, literature. World Lit was one of my favorite classes in school. I would literally like just listen and study and worship these other religions and cultures and then write stuff about that. And basically, as soon as I sobered up, I lost the will to write. I lost the will to play. And I keep telling myself, that's why I keep doing that, because it forces me. People like you will ask me, and it forces me to just sit down and do it, because to be a writer, you have to do it. You just do it. Mm-hmm. And I just, in my brain, it's like, I want to, and in my brain's like, no. So I'm just like, I got books, I got literature, like how to do this, like right here. I've been reading and studying how to do this, and it's right here within arm's reach. So what I'm trying to do right now is slowly get back into it. Yesterday was the first time I really sat down and played guitar in years, and I'm trying to retrain that muscle. Mm-hmm. Like make myself believe I don't need alcohol to do this, because I think that's my biggest hang up. Is like I felt like I needed to get drunk to do this and to be able to do this, but I don't. And it's just the convincing part. Because I can do it, it's just like, it's so weird to explain. I don't know how to explain it. It's just my brain just won't let me. And like, so what I do right now is anytime I have an idea, I write it down, or I'll pull, even if it doesn't matter where I'm at, I will pull my phone up and voice record me shouting that idea until it's out. So when I'm ready to just sit down and do it, I just have this huge mess book of just things I could just pull from, you know? And I know that's probably not the right thing to do, but like right now it's the right thing for me. You know, it's like what's working for me. It's just,
I think everyone on here has an idea folder that's just exactly what you just said. Like,
yeah.
I definitely do. That's exactly
like,
that.
I have so many ideas,
and then
but there's like it's like a dam just holding it back, and I just need to break that dam. And that's why I ask questions. Literally every interview I end with a question, and a lot of that is for me. Like, don't get it twisted. I love you guys. I love the indie community, but a lot of the times I'm asking those questions with me in mind. Like, how do I break this dam? How do I get just a little hole in that? You know?
Yeah, and I think but I'll say it anyway. We're all here for you. So
definitely,
100%. whatever, anything you need, and I'm sure this goes for the entire indie comic community that's been on your show, that we're all here for you, and especially when that book drops. So
it may add so much pressure too, because it's like I gotta have a good book now. Like,
I think we all love you, right? So, whatever you need, any advice, and whatever it is, if you ever just want to talk about the craft, you know where to find all of us. So, and
see, a big thing is that people say write from what you know, but what if all you know is a lot of darkness? You know, like it begs the question. Like, I don't want to always write dark stuff. Like,
right.
But it could still be helpful to people, maybe your experiences, or
yes,
it could still
I like that.
And I would also say that you know a position now that's not dark at all. That's very positive. That's looking towards a dark period, and you can write from that position as well.
See, that's what I just need a team of Jason, John, and Dan on my shoulder. Dude, there's literally times where I'm just like fucking
sentimental. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, since we're being a little sentimental, I do want to thank all of you guys, particularly Dan, because I've been very intimidated by Twitter and social media. I'm very new to Twitter and this whole process, and thanks to Dan kind of showing me the ropes a bit. And Cody, my first real experience with this community was you and how welcoming you were on your show. So I feel like I'm getting over my fear or I guess I associate it with negative news and stuff so much, but and Jason, it's nice to meet you. And like, it's I feel like, oh, well, wait, I see where this is a positive thing with real support, and it's a real, it's a real thing. So I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you too. I mean, I think you have an awesome book. It sucks you don't have a larger following. I think you definitely are one of those creators that deserve a much larger following.
I don't know how to use the machine. I don't know.
Keeping it
just all these buttons.
Keeping it geekly.
Tricks.
Yeah. We have sweet guys go to meet.
Yep.
We have you promised me comics. John and Dan are frozen. It looks like. I think that might have just been a little hiccup, but they're good now. And then J. Michael Miller, some great comic creators in here. Yeah, we are surrounded by them.
Hey, I have a question for Cody. I want?
Yeah.
Is it my turn?
Yes.
Cody. Thinking about someone who wants to do a creative venture, who wants to post their music or post themselves playing guitar, or who wants to review something and post that, or who wants to interview someone, or who wants to just post any kind of content, or wants to create any kind of art, but they feel like there's too many big people out there, there's too many people doing it, it's already totally saturated, and they're all doing it better than me, and what's the point of me doing that? What do you have to say to someone who's thinking that?
So I mean, that kind of like brings into question the whole existence of Keeping It Geekly. If you have a product out there, you have a voice that deserves to be heard, and I mean, the only way it's going to be heard at first is going to be by your own means, by you doing it yourself, because that's all you really have in the beginning. But through trial, tribulation, persistence, hard work, you slowly but surely build up that foundation. It took Keeping It Geekly some time. The first couple months I started interviewing, I had to beg people to come on the show. Now I'm booked out almost 2 months in advance, and it's just consistency, doing the damn thing. When I first started podcasting, there was a lot of bigger podcasters out there, and that didn't stop me, because why do I care? That's not me. I'm me. And the biggest thing, and this is, I need to like translate this to creating comics, but like the biggest thing is like, they're not who you are. Like, there's no one out there that is like in the beginning, I had no, I would teach people how to do what I'm doing. Like, oh, you want an animated background? Let me show you how to do it. You want to do everything the way I'm doing it? Like, let me show you how, because I don't care, because ultimately you are your own person. You'll never be able to replicate Keeping It Geekly. You'll be able to look like me, but you won't be me. And that same thing goes into posting your content. Do it. Who cares if there's bigger people out there doing it better than you? They've been doing it longer, probably. The only way you're going to get better is by experience. And I posted that clip yesterday. It took a lot of courage. I've posted clips before, and I would delete them because I felt like that. I was like, I don't want to put my shit out there. But I'm like, this is me doing this because I need to get comfortable doing this, because it's going to build up that muscle for me to get comfortable with writing and sharing my writing online, because that's ultimately what I want to do. But I'm nervous. I'll be honest with you. I don't want to do it. And it's like, you have to just force yourself. Right. So I would say if you're I don't know, there's nothing stopping you besides you. That you're the only person stopping you, John, from posting your stuff online. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
And there's no one who has. I mean, to piggyback on what you just said, Cody. Jesse Ham, the great artist who sadly passed away not too long ago, much too young. And I'm going to paraphrase this quote. He said, somewhere out there, someone needs to see your art. Other art, even better art, won't do. They need your art. So
I love
really
John.
John,
I think your art is gorgeous. It's seriously, I was not joking when I said it was like orgasmically, like a visual orgasm. Like it's striking. It is there's not a lot out there. I don't think there's not a lot of artists doing what you're doing right now.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I don't think I'm out of pocket for saying that. I mean, Dan, Jason, what do you say? You see a lot of comics out there too.
I absolutely agree. When I saw Dr. Rigby, Dan recommended it, I believe. And when I saw it, I was looking for it in shops. And then when I found it at Midtown Comics and then opened it up, I was like, oh my God, this is this is cool. like John made a comic book for me. Just
cool.
what Dan was saying. Like, this is a comic book for me. And So yeah, so
I remember when you came on and I was so shocked because I was like, dude, I can't believe he wants to come on my show. This is fucking awesome. This is an awesome, gorgeous book. Like, it always blows my mind when people have good quality work and they want to come on. They're like, dude, I need to be on this show. I'm like, why? Like, you need to be on better shows than mine. Like, that's just, it's such a hard mentality to break, you know? But John, like, you have gorgeous
shows.
work. Hey, and there's no better work, John.
Thanks.
Put your work out there too. That goes right back. Uno reverse to you.
No, I know. Yeah.
Uno reverse.
I really
No,
want to.
you.
I wish we could all hold hands virtually and
Can
sing
we
Kumbaya
virtually do
together.
that? Can we do that?
Yeah,
like all like make like a circle together or something?
Yeah.
But
This
it is
my
time for
gross
us.
self coming towards the camera.
It is time for us to wrap up an hour and 20 minutes. Guys, thank you so much, Jason, Dan, and John. Everyone watching, right here is the link. Get into your comic book shop and make sure you tell them to order Under God today. When is that hitting shelves, real quick, before we wrap up?
It's gonna hit shelves at the end of June, but only if you tell your comic shop to put it on your pull list. And it's a Little Danny's first color cover. I don't have it here, but the Band of Bards cover is a brand new cover in color. So that's very exciting too, with Samantha and the Almsgiving Day guards right there giving you trouble. So it comes out at the end of June, but only if you ask your comic shop to put it on your pull list right now in April, in the April previews.
And it is 100% free to do that, guys, so make sure to make that happen. With that being said, it is time for us to wrap up. I hope you all have a lovely Saturday, but most importantly, guys, keep it geekly.